GM, welcome everyone to this new first flight kickoff. I'm just going to wait a little bit until I have someone joining. Okay, I think people is joining now. Hello. As you already know me, I'm Basile. I'm from the Cypher team. Welcome to this kickoff first flight number 23. We have a really interesting project this week, and I always say that, but I don't know, all our projects are interesting, right? So actually, let me share my screen and I'm going to just show you what this week project is about. So give me a second over here. Okay. So first slide number 23, MyCut. The project of this week is actually pretty simple, but it's going to help you to learn a lot about, you know, pools of rewards. MyCut is a contest reward distribution protocol which allows to set up and management of multiple reward distributions, allowing authorized claimants 90 days to claim before the manager takes a cut of the remaining pool, and the remainder is distributed equally to those who claim in time. We have just two actors for this first slide or for these smart contracts. The owner or the admin is able to create new pods, close all pods when the claim period has elapsed, and fund new pods. And of course, the users who claim that rewards. Before we get started on the explanation, be sure to go to the repo on GitHub and clone it into your machine going directly here. Actually, let me make this more big. Just go to the HTTP address, copy this, and clone this on your machine. I already have the project here on my terminal. And of course, to install all the dependencies, you can always use forge install, or directly you can run forge test, and this is going to install the dependencies and run the tests for you. All the tests are running correctly. So let's take a look to the code, shall we? Let me open my code editor, Visual Studio Code, and I have here, we have just two smart contracts for this project. The first one is the pod.sol. This is the standard contract, and we have, as always, some errors, some variables, and the functionalities over here. You have two approaches here. You can, of course, start reading through all the code and try to understand what the code is supposed to do. But I have two recommendations for you. First of all, go to the extension tab on your Visual Studio Code and install Solidity Metrics. The reason is because if you use this extension by right-clicking Solidity Metrics, this is going to create for you a report about all the information of the project, including the ends log and a lot of more information as how many view functions are, how many calls are, etc., etc. The important part I want to show you today, though, is this section over here. First, the inheritance graphs. All the contracts on this protocol, the pod and the contest manager, are ownable contracts. That means that they are using, if I'm not mistaken, Open Zeppelin standard for ownable contracts, and also the call graph. And that's the most important part, in my opinion. The reason, let me actually move this for you to see it clear and put just the screen to use the entire space. So basically, we have all the functions here on the contents manager, all the functions on the pod, and of course, an interface for a standard ERC20 token. So for example, the close context interact directly with the internal function with the same name, but I know it's internal because this is using this low semicolon here, and this interacts with the pod contract with another function, the close pod. This as well interacts with another function, and this function as well interacts with the interface of the ERC20 token. So for example, if you find something wrong or a vulnerability or an issue on the transfer reward, that means that all the chain through the close context function on the context manager is going to be corrupted. So first, if you want to understand how this code base works, use the Solidity Metrics extension, and please be sure to check these graphs because you are going to understand how the functions interact with each other. And my second recommendation is that, of course, we live on the era of AI. So basically, if you want to get an understanding of how for example, the pod smart contract works, you can open AI like ChatGPT or any other AI. I already did here just for showing you up, and you say, hey, ChatGPT, explain me how this code works. I'm just copy and pasted the entire code base, and ChatGPT is going to start generating some content explaining, okay, these are the state variables, these are the functions, what are the parameters the constructor is getting, and all the functions. For example, the function claiming rewards, a player can call this function to claim the reward. The function checks if the player has a reward. If not, it reverts with pot dash dash reward not found. If the player has reward, it's set to 0 and the remaining reward are reduced by the claimed amount, etc. etc. So after that, after understanding what is the way the functions interact with each other, and after you spend some time rather by reading the code or asking an AI to explain how it works, you are going to be ready to start auditing and start finding vulnerabilities for this contest. Especially, you know that you need to start looking for scenarios on which the smart contract is not going to behave as is expected. So for example, on the specification of this context, it says that the participants has 90 days to claim before the manager takes the code of the remaining pool. Maybe you can find a way or a vulnerability to make this timestamp to be reduced, or maybe to increase it. And instead of just having 90 days, you can maybe corrupt the timestamps to make it to claim it twice, or to anything actually that will make these smart contracts to behave as they shouldn't behave. Also, I want to show you that you need to, of course, run all the tests. So if you run a forge coverage, sorry, I cannot write it correctly, you are going to have this entire table of all the functions covered on the test. So for example, the pod.sol has a 85.71% of coverage. It means that 6 out of 7 functions of this protocol are being tested. So in that regard, of course, you need to go to the test folder and start testing all the functions on this protocol. First, try to reach that 100% coverage on here. Be sure that all the functions are covered by the test. And also on your test, as I already said, try to start creating scenarios on which the smart contract is going to behave as the smart contract shouldn't behave. And I think with all this big explanation about how to understand the code base, how basically these two smart contract works and the things you need to do, I would like to know if we have um, uh, another question, or you have a question actually on the chat. I think maybe we are not. Anyways, as I have here the creator of this protocol with me, I'm going to take a little advantage of it, and I'm just going to ask directly Ekos or community manager if you have anything else you can tell us about this code base or something that auditors should take care of or watch when auditing this.
I mean, all my code is buggy, so look at everything. But the bottom line is I intended for this first flight to be significantly easier than a lot of our recent first flights. It's kind of a throwback so that some of the beginners get a chance. Furthermore, a bit of alpha is I kind of intend this to be part one of at least 2, possibly 3. So my intent there is to provide Hawks with how to say it. I want to provide you guys with the insight to see a really bad version of a code base, provide recommendations on how to fix it, and then see what that code base looks like when it's better. Not everyone sees that feedback loop, and not everyone gets a chance to participate in mitigation reviews. And I think that's like an important part of the process. So that's my goal with these first couple. This one has some very obvious issues. And if you've seen some of our previous first flights, you may even see some of the issues duplicated from there as a bit of alpha. But yeah, things should be pretty easy for this one. And then we'll have a harder one coming up when you guys suggest how to fix it.
That's really interesting because you are right. There is a lot of things also actually also in terms of how the code is presented that could be improved here. And if we have a second or third version of this code base with all the improvements the community already suggests, I think that the third version of this contest is going to be actually pretty hard to get. So yeah, I think that's more or less what we have for this first flight. As Echo said, this project is going to be one of the easier ones, especially in comparison with the latest first flights we just had. But it's going to be a really nice way for you to practice your auditing skills and, of course, also participate on that mitigation review Echo just mentioned. With that said, I think this is going to be a really quick first slide kickoff. Remember, if you have any question, especially for those of you watching this asynchronously, don't forget to go to the Discord server and ask any question you might have. And I'm sure that AQS is going to be there giving you a hand. With that said, and because we don't have any other questions, I think we can wrap up this kickoff. Do you have any final words for us?
Uh, yeah, like something I want to say to the students out there who are always asking, how do I practice or what do I do next? I want to encourage you to give this a try. Build a first flight, get people to audit it, and then literally take their recommended feedback and apply it to that protocol. If you want an idea as to how to like practice and explicitly be told how to improve, I think this is a great flow for that. And it's kind of something that's dawned on me in the last week or so. So, yeah, anyone who is looking for a way to practice, this is a great way to do it. I encourage you to take a look at it.
Thank you very much, then. And remember, this code base is one of the easy, quote unquote, ones. So it's not going to represent that much of a hassle, but 100% is going to represent a learning experience for you. With that said, thank you very much for joining us today. And especially for those of you watching this asynchronous, happy hacking and happy coding. I think that we can say goodbye now. So bye bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. See you in the server.